Hi, this is Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, and in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at the Zebra V-301 fountain pen. I came across this pen in a Walgreens yesterday and I've been wanting to try one for a while. It comes with two black ink cartridges, and here on the back it says when you insert the ink cartridge, give it a few shakes to get it started. It also mentions that refills are available, and I'm going to compare this to a standard international ink cartridge in a minute. It looks like they're not the same. It's not compatible with standard international, but I'll check that out in a minute. Yes, it looks like this is not compatible with standard international cartridges or converters. The little attachment point on the Zebra looks much larger. So that's something to keep in mind. My sister picked one up also. I was at the store with her and I told her don't get rid of the cartridges because you'll need to refill them. A couple years ago, I had a student that had one of these and she brought it to school and she let me play around with it one day while she was taking a test, and I really liked it. And I got online and thought about picking one up for myself, but the reviews were so hit and miss that I eventually decided against it. But yesterday at the drugstore, it was only listed as, on the rack it said it was $7.99 or something like that. And when I got up to the checkout, it ended up only being $4.49, so definitely worth giving it a try. And it looks like, I didn't remember that this is what the nib looked like. It's kind of hooded or semi-hooded, so that makes me think it won't be prone to drying out, but we'll see. It's a fine nib. The capping mechanism doesn't feel too bad. It feels like it takes a decent amount of effort to get it off. Snapping it on doesn't feel quite as satisfying, but it's not bad. Let's see. Now, it's designed to post, but it's a little wiggly for posting, but not bad. Oh yeah, and the cap is very light. I mean, it's a little bit long, but no back weight at all. Okay, let's pop one of the cartridges in. This is going to take a little effort, I think. There. Yeah, it takes quite a bit of effort. Give it a little shake. I saw the bubble come up. I'm going to test this black ink for water resistance. It's not scratchy, but it does, the feedback is kind of weird. It feels like I'm writing with a rubber tip and it's wanting to stick to the page. It's a fine nib. I think this might be the only size that it comes in. And the strokes in each direction feel the same. It's weird because it doesn't feel like my Pilot Extra Fine. Like, you can feel that that's like a really fine point. It feels like almost you're writing with a needle. This is smooth, but it's not glassy smooth like it wants to get away from you. It's kind of nice once you get used to it. This is the black ink cartridge. A little bit of a skip there. not very wet. Maybe that's why it feels like this. Maybe it's really a smooth nib, but yeah, it's kind of dry. There's a little bit, you can see it's kind of dry there. I thought with it being kind of hooded, my cat is having a fit outside my door. I think this would be good for a pen to keep in a checkbook. I'll check the water resistance and then come back, let the pen set a while. I mean, I just put the cartridge in it. Maybe that has something a little bit to do with it writing a little bit dry. I'll do my water resistance test and then I'll try writing with it a little more on some different papers. Okay, so here's the water resistance test. I wrote on rhodia paper. I didn't let it dry as long as most of my writing samples that I do water tests on, but this was maybe about 30 minutes. I submerged it in water for 10 minutes and there is some water resistance. Quite a bit of the ink, you could see it lifting off the page, but still very legible. I guess I would be okay using this to write checks. I don't write that many checks, but here's how my Pilot G2 did in a water test. It blew out a little bit, not bad. And here's some of the Noodler's inks. X-Feather blows out a little bit, but X-Feather is my favorite ink to use in a pen for like a check writing pen that you're just going to have in your purse that you don't use that often. X-Feather's just a very flowy ink and I haven't had any trouble with it drying up. So a pen like this, when the cartridge runs out, I will probably refill it with X-Feather. Now, it's been setting for a few minutes. I'm going to see how it does on Tomoe River paper. Okay, this is Tomoe River paper in an old Hobonichi Weeks. I've got a writing sample from my Pilot Lucina so I can compare the line width of this zebra fountain pen. And I have to apologize for my video quality the last few videos. I'm having trouble with my zoomed in clips looking very digital and grainy, and I thought it was my editing software, but as I'm testing my zoom here right now, it might be my phone. I recently had an update on my phone. I hope that issue gets sorted out. I'll have to do some more investigating on that, but let's see how this pen starts up after setting for a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Is this 301? Yeah. Not bad when compared with the Lucina. Maybe it's just taking a little while for the ink to really saturate the internal feed. Oh, I just said that and I had a bit of a skip there. The ink seems to be able to keep up fairly well when writing quickly. I'm going to test the reverse writing. It feels, I wouldn't call it scratchy, I would call it a little feedbacky just because of how fine it is. But the ink seems to be able to keep up very nicely. It puts down a very extra fine line. Not bad. Now, just me pausing, talking there, you saw there was a little skip and a little skip at the beginning of that. Seems to write uniformly in all directions, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, there is a cap liner. There's the plastic cap liner. I'm going to try carrying this little pen in my purse just to see, how it works when you go for a couple days without writing. Just use it for little to-do lists and whatnot and see how it works out, and I'll report back. I'm pretty fond of the look of the pen, and I like how it feels. I like that it's a snap cap. I think the nib's interesting looking. It's unique, especially, this day and age. These type of kind of hooded nibs were popular in times past, but they're not as common today. I'm still a little the capping is a feels a little wonky, but it is on there tight. Unlike posting is a little bit loose, but I'm okay with that for posting. It's on there plenty tight enough to stay posted when you're writing. It's an inexpensive pen. It feels a little cheap, but it doesn't feel $4.50 cheap. I'm pretty fond of the aesthetic. I've always been a fan of the V-301 mechanical pencil. This is an old one, no clip, no cap for the eraser. This is one I found at school. Anytime I saw a pencil laying on the ground, I'd pick it up and take it in my room and put it in a pencil cup for kids to use if they lost a pencil or needed to borrow one. And this was probably my first favorite mechanical pencil. I was always pretty fond of mechanical pencils, but this one was my favorite. It just fits my hand so perfectly. This fountain pen is, well, the pen itself, yeah, is about that same size. You post it, it's a bit longer, but you can't even feel the cap back there. I'm going to give this pen a try on two more types of paper. I've got some Clairefontaine and copy paper. I'm going to try the Clairefontaine first. This is a little notebook I got that has colored grid paper, so I just use it for note taking. It's not that fun to use for beautiful color inks because the color of the paper interferes with the color of the ink, but for a nice little note taker with just black ink, should be perfect. That was really nice. Just really smooth in all directions. Not super wet, so this is just a nice practical pen to use. Let me try the reverse writing. I tested the reverse writing once more and saw that it was a little bit rough in the left direction, so I used it on a little bit of micromesh in the left direction about 10 times and then did some figure eights, and now it seems to be really nice. But now that I've been sitting here talking, let's see if it'll start up. Nice. I mean, this will be nice to have on hand if I'm having to fill out a form or something and it's a really tight spot or it's bad paper. You see, it's putting down just enough ink that it looks good and it feels good, but it's not smearing. Puts down enough ink. I had a little bit of a skip here, but puts down enough ink that the feed is able to keep up. Now, part of these skips might be this nib's a little finicky. I mean, you have to keep it. Well, now I'm rotating. Yeah, if you rotate it a little too far, especially this direction, it wants to skip. Well, let me try this out on copy paper. that's not bad. Let me see. It might be, I wouldn't really call it feathery, but it does want to spread a little bit. A little bit dry, but very legible and not really scratchy at all. Not like you would expect for this fine of a line. Before I wrap this video up, I just want to make a note of how the ink in this pen behaves on Leuchtturm paper. I didn't notice this on any of the other papers, but on Leuchtturm, the ink just soaks into the paper and feathers very badly. And I've used a variety of inks in this particular Leuchtturm, some lines a day, and I haven't had any trouble with the ink feathering or bleeding through the paper. It's performed just beautifully, but this was quite a surprise. Considering how the ink behaved on the other papers that I tried, yeah, this was quite a surprise. So I wanted you to know about that. And that kind of explains how initially the pen felt kind of dry. I guess it's because the ink was just soaking into the paper so quickly. You didn't have that layer of ink to lubricate the nib on the page. Reverse writing ended up being okay. It still spread quite a bit, but the original line was so fine that when it spread, it's okay. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.